this edition of the Talk of Simsbury. My name is Dominique Avery, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this show, which we debuted in June and plan to air whenever there's something pressing or particularly interesting to talk about in Simsbury. Today, we're going to talk about the Simsbury Public Library and the library's very new director, Lisa Karim, who just started working there on July 15th. And I want to welcome her on behalf of all the residents of Simsbury. We're so delighted to have you.
Thank you. I'm delighted to be here.
We are also being joined today by Charmaine Glew, a longtime member of the library board and also the co-chair of Simsbury's famous used book sale. I'm so delighted to welcome you as well.
Thank you.
I love the book sale, and I think it's the most fascinating thing, and I'm really glad to have an opportunity to talk about it, all the stuff that you and your volunteers do.
Thank you.
Just 30 years ago, Simsbury built a brand new library, replacing a beautiful but tiny library which had been built 100 years earlier. And then our library underwent a major renovation and expansion just 5 years ago. Now, in this world of increasing access to digital information and of all kinds, many are predicting the obsolescence of libraries and questioning their relevance. Today, we're going to talk about that in reference to our library, the library's relevance and its importance to the community, with the new library director. But first, Lisa, why don't you start out on a sort of more smaller level and tell us a little bit about your background and what got you into libraries in the first place?
Well, I grew up in Poughkeepsie, New York, and went away to school in Albany, and did my master's in library science with a concentration in archives, thinking I wanted to go into the archives field. And unfortunately, when I graduated, could not find an archives job, and I fell into public libraries. The position that I ultimately found was being the director of a public library in a suburb of Poughkeepsie, and I loved it. And I did it for a year, and then I took an archives position and quickly learned that archives weren't right for me. And when my position at the LaGrange Library reopened a year later, I went back to LaGrange Library, and I was there ever since.
So Poughkeepsie or LaGrange, is it in Poughkeepsie or?
It's a suburb of Poughkeepsie.
So how large is the community? How large is that library?
There are 16,000 people in the town of LaGrange, and the library itself is a fairly small facility. It's about 5,700 square feet, whereas the Simsbury Library is 42,000 square feet. So that was a big jump for me. However, our circulation in LaGrange is not much less than that of Simsbury.
So I want to go back to this archiving business. What made you thought that you would think that you'd be a good archivist when clearly you're a people person?
Yeah, I never thought I was a people person. I have a love of history. My undergraduate degree was in American history and English. I like to research. I considered law school and then decided I wanted to go the historical research route. I did an internship at the Franklin Roosevelt Presidential Library in Hyde Park. That's actually what brought me back to Poughkeepsie after school. But then I found out I loved people and public libraries and helping people find what they need and giving them access to what they need to make their lives easier.
Both are very interesting. I mean, I feel like going off on a tangent because I just found at the University of Albany website a few months ago a tape of my mother, an interview that she did with them that I had no idea she had done, and I was thrilled. I wrote them, and they sent me a DVD of it or a CD of it, and I was just so thrilled. It was a special project they had done on German refugees.
Oh, amazing. That's great.
Yeah. And Hyde Park is also near and dear to my heart. My daughter was totally in love with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and we had to visit all of his sites. We went to Campobello, and then we went
wow.
In any case. So that's an aside. That's more about me than anybody wanted to know. So I read somewhere that you also applied for another job in Connecticut. So what made you want to come to Simsbury?
I actually applied for multiple jobs in Connecticut in public libraries, but Simsbury attracted me because it's a beautiful place. There's always something going on. It's a wonderful place to raise a family. More importantly, the library itself is definitely a cornerstone of the community, and it's very valued by the community, and that's evident as soon as you walk through the front door. I came on a Saturday afternoon before I applied for the position, and the library was bustling, and it was a beautiful day out, not your typical library kind of day. So I was very impressed with that.
So, Charmaine, let me bring you into this, the two of you. Let me ask a little bit, how did the town go about, I don't know whether you were on the committee, but I assume you were part of the process. How did we go about finding a new library director when Sue Bullock retired after 17 years?
Well, I was very fortunate to be on the committee, and we posted ads in the newspapers, as they do for all town positions, and we then got applications, and we read through those applications. People were chosen, numerous candidates. We had wonderful candidates, and we chose quite a few candidates, and then they had to go through a process of 3 interviews, or 4? 3? 3 interviews.
Wow.
Seemed like a lot more, but
well, you were interviewing the people, so it was a lot more for you.
First members from directors from other libraries did the first interviews.
Oh.
And they had the interviewees came in, they were interviewed by this panel of outside people, and then recommendations were made to the library board, the committee of the board, and then the committee interviewed the top choices. Lisa always was the #1 choice. I'm happy to say that she did decide to join us. And so then she was also interviewed by the whole library board, and she did a wonderful job.
So a very rigorous
really,
process.
Very rigorous.
Yes.
Now, it's interesting to me, I read somewhere that you described yourself as a type A personality.
Absolutely.
I was also involved in some hiring in Simsbury when I was on the Board of Education, and our superintendent of schools at the time was Joe Townsley, and he always counseled us not to look for the philosopher, not to look for the person with the big ideas, but the hard workers. And it sounds to me like that's what you found, that you chose a hard worker, and I'm sure someone with a lot of great ideas as well.
We're really, really thrilled that Lisa did agree to join us, and that she is going to be our library director, hopefully,
So let me
for 20
just
more years.
get a little more personal. So you seem to have looked for a number of jobs in Connecticut. What drew you to Connecticut? Was it family or something, or
Family?
family? You have family here?
Yes.
Now, another personal question. You seem to have children as well.
I have 3 little girls, although my 10-year-old would say she's not little. I have a 10-year-old Hannah and a 7-year-old Libby, and Amelia is 6.
Well, that's going to be quite a handful with a big library job as well.
Yes.
And so you mentioned earlier you're going to be temporarily renting in West Hartford.
Yes.
While you look for a house. You're going to be looking for a house in Simsbury?
Yes, eventually.
Yeah, it would make it a lot easier with the hours that I'm sure you're going to be keeping. So you've been here for 5 weeks. You've said that you thought it was a wonderful library. In those 5 weeks, are there things that you have seen that you would like to change or improve or expand?
One of the things that's top on my priority list to change is the website of the library. I would like it to be more interactive, more user-friendly, more intuitive. We are increasing the number of digital things that we offer that are available 24/7 when the library is closed, at 3 o'clock in the morning, whenever it's convenient for the library users, and I would like them to have the best access possible to those things. So the website redesign is one of the top priorities.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, already we can do terrific things. Like I just told somebody yesterday who didn't know that when I have a book out of the library, I get an email saying that it's due in 3 days, and it allows me to renew it without going to the library.
Yes.
And I love that. But I do find the website kind of hard to use. I looked at Avon's yesterday, and it's a little easier and a little bit splashier. But so that's first on your agenda.
That is one of the top things to do.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
One of the things that we really would like to do and that we need is to have a teen librarian come on board to the staff so that we can offer more services to the teens. Right now we have someone on staff who has been doing a great job. However, it's only part of her position, and she can't dedicate as much time to it as she would like and as is probably necessary. So that's one of the things that also I would like to take on.
So maybe both of you, well, let me explore that. What would a teen librarian do?
She would engage the teens in the community to come into the library, to do programs within the library, and also we collaborate more with the high school to get teens involved in other ways in the library.
I do see a lot of teens there in the afternoon. They walk
Yes.
down. One of the wonderful things about it is that it's close enough to the high school for teens to walk
Which is
downtown.
another reason that that's a definite need.
Right. I mean, and they come and study, and they come and use the computers and various things. I also see a lot of teens getting tutored there.
Yes.
So, there are actually people in Simsbury who have never been to our library. My husband is one of them. I have another friend whose husband has also never been to the library. He says, why would I ever go to the library? What would you say to those? I know there are men who go to the library, but there are some men who won't. What can we do to...
Men are traditionally underserved by public libraries.
What is that?
I don't know what that's about. What I would say to them is libraries, National Library Card Sign-Up, September is National Library Card Sign-Up Month, and I encourage them to come get a library card. You can use Consumer Reports online. And again, once you come to the library and get your card, you don't necessarily have to step back in the door. You can use Consumer Reports online from your home. You can download ebooks to your device from home. We just started offering downloadable magazines to your device. So again, you don't need to step foot in the library necessarily. But I mean, we have books on lawn care and maintenance. We have books on trains and the history of the world and the history of America. Come stop in.
I just think that's such a fascinating issue that there are so many men who don't want to go to the library. Are books feminine in some way?
No, I don't think that's what it is. I also think that many men have wives who come to the library and pick up their reading material for them.
So, so let's expand this avenue that we're exploring about what are the other things. You said you came to Simsbury on a Saturday afternoon and the library was teeming. What are people doing there? What are all the things that you can do in the library? Charmaine, you can answer that too.
So much happens there. Programs, music programs, movies, children's programs, programs for teens, adult programming. There are just so many things that go on in the library. I find it hard to even list them all.
Well, you have you rent movies.
Yes.
Movies. You
can
loan movies, books.
Right.
You have magazines. Are people allowed to take magazines
Yes.
out? Bestsellers,
Large print.
large print.
Big collection of large print.
Large print. That's very important. When I had cataract surgery, I actually took out a book because I could read it without my glasses.
People use the computers in the library. They come for the free Wi-Fi access.
That's a free Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Computers. There's business services.
We have an amazing business resource center
Right.
that I would encourage business people in the community or entrepreneurs trying to get started to come and meet with Jenna. She's happy to meet with people and give them assistance.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the future of physical books and the famous Simsbury used book sale. Stay with us.
How you gonna keep 'em down on the farm after they've seen Harry? How you gonna keep 'em away from Broadway, dancing around and painting the town? How you gonna keep 'em away from harm? That's the mystery.
We are back, and now I'm going to sort of focus on a conversation with Charmaine a little bit because she has been running the used book sale for years. And although I hinted that we were going to talk about the future of books and whether there are going to be fewer books to sell, I'd like to start out with Charmaine talking about what is the purpose of the sale. What do you do with the money that you raise?
All the money that we raise, except for very few expenses, goes directly to the Friends of the Library, who in turn give that money to the library to use for things that the town is not able to afford to buy for the library, for the residents of Simsbury
So
and the
does
community.
that mean CDs, videos? What kind of things do
Well,
you pay
the
for?
library director makes that determination as to what they need each year, and she allocates money to the various departments, and they in turn use that money for whatever they need. Could be programs, could be books, could be computers, could be a special kind of printing machine, or any number of various databases, all sorts of different things.
So, how much money does does an average book sale make?
Well, in recent years, we've been making around $43,000 to $46,000 a year over a 2-day sale, and we also have a bookstore in the library, and so that generates money, and that's how we come to that number of about $46,000.
Okay, so it's a tremendous amount of work. Can you describe a little bit where and when you start collecting, sorting, bringing the books to the location at Simsbury High School? Tell us a little bit about it. I know there are lots and lots of people involved.
Many, many wonderful volunteers who have been volunteering with me and before me for many, many years. We usually begin our major collection the Tuesday after Memorial Day, and we continue until the end of August, the week before Labor Day, and our sale is usually the weekend after Labor Day. We do collect books during the year, but we don't have any specific collection dates, so people do have to call and ask if they need to drop off their books then. All the books are donated that we sell. People come from all over Simsbury and other communities and give us their books. We sort them into various categories. Some books are priced in our special selections, and we pack them, store them. We have this army of people who come in on Tuesdays and Fridays to sort the books for a few hours. Then we repackage them into smaller boxes. The week just before the sale, the Simsbury High School crew team, the men's and women's crew team come. We take usually about six huge truckloads of books over to the high school. We unpack them onto tables. More volunteers do that. And then on Saturday and Sunday we have this really big sale. On Saturday we have the really best selection of books. Lots of dealers come. People start lining up the night before the sale. They put their boxes outside the high school door with their name or number on, and Saturday morning the place is just mobbed. But for the greatest bargains, it's best to come on Sunday where you can get a bag of books.
A bag of books for $1?
No, not a
No.
dollar. We usually we charge quite a few dollars for the bags. Just depends.
You do?
Yes, we do. We charge anywhere from $8 to $10
Uh-huh.
a bag. We're not sure from year to year how much our bags are going to be each year.
But but people pack quite a bit into
Oh,
those
absolutely. You can
bags.
put 40 paperbacks into a brown paper bag, and people usually do that.
So have you ever counted how many books you collect and sell?
Well, it's really difficult to count them. What we do is try and count our boxes. We fit between 20 and 40 books to a box, so depending on the size of the book. But we think that we have somewhere in the region of 75 to 100,000 items for sale.
Wow.
We also sell DVDs, CDs, puzzles, games, something for everyone. We encourage you all to come to the
Say
sale.
that number again.
About 75,000
75 to 100,000 items.
Items,
That
yes.
is amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Now, one other thing is that before the latest renovation to the library, you collected off-site in various places.
Yes, we've been in a barn. We've been at the Farmington Valley Jewish Congregation, and we've been at the Simsbury Historical Society, and we really love the space that we have at the library
Which
right
is
now.
in the library
It
itself.
is in the library itself.
On the sort of the ground floor where there's
Yes, on the lower level.
although there are people in town who would love to adopt that space.
We understand. That space was made specifically for library expansion in future years should the need arise. Also, as we mentioned, the book sale does generate quite a bit of money for the library.
Have you noticed a diminution of books that are being donated?
Not so far.
Are you anticipating that that's going to happen now that there are so many e-books and books being read, not so many bestsellers being bought. A lot of people are downloading them to their Nook or their Kindles.
I think, from my personal observation, that people are still buying books. People still like to hold a book. Also, I think they buy the books that they really love, so they might download it to their Kindle or other device, but then if they really love the book, they go out and buy it. I think they're also buying they're quick reads, novels for their Kindles, but they're buying paper books for their children and nonfiction books and recipe books and things like that.
Okay, one other question. Among all those items, that 75,000 items, they're not all sold. What happens to the books that are not sold?
Each year something different happens to the books. For the past number of years, we have had someone come in who take the books away and they pay us for the books. Unfortunately, the company went out of business. So this year, we are sending all of the books to Ghana that we do not sell. They'll be going
That's
to
a
Ghana.
prison.
To Ghana, to Africa.
Oh, to
Ghana
Ghana.
in Africa,
Oh,
Ghana in
I thought you
Africa.
said Garner.
No, sorry.
Because we did send books to the
We
prison.
do send books to the prisons. Also, we have a gentleman who's been coming for many, many years, and he does collect a lot of books, paperbacks, and Bibles, which we don't sell. He takes those to the prisons.
Prison library. So Ghana, how did you make that connection?
He came to us.
Oh, very interesting. And what are they going to do with it for schools?
They are going to give
or-
them to schools and libraries there.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so now here we are in the digital age. I'm going to turn back to you, Lisa. And in the beginning, I talked about people saying libraries are obsolete. I'm sure you do not believe that. So what is the future of a physical library, and what is the library's place in the community, specifically the Simsbury community?
Okay, well, I think that libraries are more relevant today than ever. With all of the technology that is out there in the world today, people need a place to come and learn about the technology. And part of the mission of the Simsbury Public Library is to be that clearinghouse of information and resources for people to learn about technology and to be the access point of technology. Another aspect of libraries right now is that they're the community's living room or the gathering place of the community. And again, one of the things that impressed me that afternoon that I visited before I applied for the position, there were people meeting all over. There were a French club meeting up by the fireplace. There were young moms and grandparents in the children's area watching their little ones play and interact. So we're filling dual roles, and it's not the traditional sense of the library where you walk in and borrow a book anymore.
Although that still does go on.
It absolutely still does go on, yes.
Yeah, I've been going to libraries since I was 6 years old, and I still can't get used to the fact that I don't have a card catalog anymore. I like thumbing through the card catalog. I found it easier than searching on the search.
But when you search online now, it will tell you if it's checked in or not,
That's
which is
true.
the benefit of searching online.
That's true. But the one thing that I personally find difficult about searching for a book on the library computers is that you're so used to Google being able to put in a phrase and find a whole bunch of books. And somehow I personally can't make the library search thing do that as well.
Okay, well, it actually is possible, and if you need help, a reference
So I
librarian
need to
would be
learn how to do it. So
happy
it's
to help
me
you.
that's the problem, not the
No,
library.
we're actually changing over to a new system next spring that will actually be even more user-friendly.
Okay, so that's when you anticipate the new sort of digital upgrade
Yes.
is going to be next spring?
Next spring.
Have you brought somebody in to do that, or are you physically doing
We're
that?
part of a library consortium, a library connection, and each library in that consortium is moving to a different integrated library system.
You mentioned the children's section. I asked a group of people in my exercise class this week what they thought the best thing about the Simsbury Library was, and they said the children's, the whole children's library. It's quite amazing. If you want to talk about that a little bit for people who have maybe never been there.
The children's department at the Simsbury Library is amazing, and the children's department in most public libraries is the heart of the library because that's where literacy starts and that's where the love of the library and learning starts. Our children's librarians are passionate. They love what they do, and the collection is phenomenal. And I was very impressed by the number of different types of media that we lend. We have playaway viewers that my 6-year-old has taken to. She loves them so much. And they're just small screens that have books loaded on them that will play for her. It's not a Kindle. She can operate it all by herself. It's perfect. We also have grandparent kits, which I didn't know about. They're bags filled with activities, and each bag is for a different age. So if you have your grandchildren coming to visit, you don't have to go out and buy board games. You can go to the library and borrow one of our kits.
I actually just read there was like a plea for grandparent kits, and I was cleaning out some things in my office last year, and I put them in a bag, and they were for little boys, and the grandchildren had stopped coming, my husband's grandchildren, and I gave them to the library kit, and then lo and behold, my daughter said, "Oh, I'm pregnant, Mom," and it turned out to be a little boy, so now I'm going to have to borrow the things that in any case, I'm looking forward to. So let's talk a little bit more about, I just got the 1 minute. This thing has gone really fast. So I wanted to, in the remaining minute that we had, I wanted to ask each of you, since we've been talking about books and authors, I wanted you to each tell us briefly what you are reading or what your favorite author is and why. Charmaine, let's start with you.
I am reading The Buffalo Soldiers by Chris Bajolian. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I also download a lot of books from the library onto my iPod because I don't always have time to read a physical book, but I can always listen.
Lisa?
And I'm reading Wild by Cheryl Strayed. Also very enjoyable. It's her memoir of hiking the Pacific Coast Trail.
I have not heard of that. My contribution is this summer I've read 2 Elizabeth Strout books, Olive Kitteridge, which is being made even as we speak into an HBO series, and Burgess Boys, which was also excellent, and Meg Wolitzer's The Interestings, which I tried to borrow from the Simsbury Library, but there was such a long line for it that I ended up downloading it.
We do have multiple copies of bestsellers. So.
You do, yeah.
Yes.
Well, there was a very long line, and then I ended up giving in and just downloading it onto my Kindle, because I like to read real books, but when I travel, I like to take a bunch of books on my Kindle. So our time is up, and I'd like to thank everyone here at SCTV, our director, Karen Hanville, and our camera people and office staff for their help in getting this show on the air. And I want to thank especially my guests, Lisa Karim and Charmaine Glew. And finally, I want to thank you for joining us. If you missed any part of this show, you can always watch it on our website. Just Google Simsbury Community Television, or you can sign up on Twitter and either get updates on Twitter or on Facebook. So see you next time we have a Talk of Simsbury show to air. Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.